When dealing with questions and objections or disagreements in the classroom, there's one thing that you can always fall back on, and that is knowledge of your students. Now, typically, if you had your druthers, you'd want to know more about your students than you would about the subject that you're teaching, because knowledge of the students can give you so much more to work with, especially when someone has a problem or an objection, or they want to use a completely different methodology, or they want to skip to the end rather than following a good process. Now, this can be extremely difficult in the beginning of the semester. They will all know you because all of those people only have one teacher. But you are one teacher and you have a ton of students. I'm going to guess, 18, 20, 24, 30. Some of you have a classroom with 120 students in it. There's no way you can get to know those individuals, not all of them, by the time the semester comes to a close. So in a situation like that, what really can you do? But the more you know about the student, the more you know about what is going to get them excited, what's going to turn them on to the learning, and what is it that is going to make sense to them and their needs in their situation. The more you know about your students, the more you can give them the things that are exciting to them. That means the more your relationship will be, and the more your relationship will be strengthened. But it also means that you can add value to your lectures by giving them the components that they need. For instance, if you are trying to give your students a lecture on creating a client contract, that can be kind of dry. That can be a little bit boring. But if you know that in the class following the class that you're teaching, they will be working with a printer to have a hardcover portfolio put together, well, then you may want to give them a paper client contract. You say, this is one that we have used in the past, and it's one that many of our students use next semester, so keep a hold on this. Let's go over it piece by piece after we hear this short video lecture of one of our students describing how they used this to their advantage. So today we're going to talk about ways in which you can add value to what it is that you do, whether it is a hands-on demonstration, whether it is a lecture, or whether it is a meeting in an office. So what exactly counts as added value? Added value is anything that you add to your discussion, your talk, your presentation, your lecture, that adds value in the eyes of the receiver. So in the eyes of the student, in the eyes of the faculty member, etc. This may require you to do a little bit of extra work on your part, and it may require you to think completely outside of the box, because added value is a surprise in the mind of the listener. Now, adding value is not putting out a study guide for the quiz or for the test. That's just smart. It's not dropping the price of an item that students may need. That's really kind of discount selling. But what it is finding something that is going to make a click or a connection with that individual. So the trick about added value is that it is not determined by you. Added value is determined by the individual student or the person that you're assisting. So, for instance, if the student is having a problem, you have office hours. Or they could go next door to your building to the ILC, where there are individuals who know how to use these software packages, and they are available. They're available until 7 o'clock at night, Monday through Thursday, and they have been working there on the same problems that pop up in your class from time to time for several years, and they can help you. Now, to you, that's probably a great system, because your students can email you, your students can call you, your students can come by your office, and that can happen with any teacher anywhere. And if they want, they can go to the Independent Learning Center, and that gives them an opportunity to get some one-on-one tutoring. But the student has a very strict timetable because they have children, and so being able to come and see you in their off hours is not value added. On the other hand, if you say that there is a CompuTutor that you can call and they will help you until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, they have video content available for common problems that the CompuTutor can send you, all these things begin to become some excellent ways for you to add value to students who don't come to campus or who absolutely cannot stay there. Another way to add value is perhaps you have a lesson, and in the lesson file there are notes that you can read, but if you don't read notes very well, there's also video content that cover the same material. This is added value for students who don't like to watch video content, having the text there. For students who are vision or hearing impaired, having access to video content with transcripts can be exceedingly helpful. Especially for students who are audio or visual learners, having access to that can be a big hit. So it depends on the person. So if your standards may or may not be good enough, and you're supposed to be providing added value to your lectures, added value to your meetings in your office, added values to answers to questions, if those things are different for every student, and you have 20-some students in your class, how are you going to know what is the proper thing to add and how to do it? This is a great question. Unfortunately, there's no distinct answer except for this. If you have been listening to these videos up until this point, then you have probably found yourself in the classroom asking for more information, getting to know those students, trying to find out from them just what is it that makes them tick, what excites them about learning, what's in it for them. And once you know more than one student, once you know what works for them, then you can start adding value in a way that will be meaningful. You need to add value based on knowing what it is that your customers, well, I suppose not customers, but what your listeners want and what they need to get. Do they want cheap solutions, right? They are looking for ways that they can complete the work for class that is going to not require them to purchase anything new. They don't want to have to print anything out, so they don't have to buy paper, lose ink cartridges. They don't want to have to go places, whatever it is there an option that you can give them that works for students who like things that are cheap? Do you have things that are going to be quality issues? So for instance, if you're talking about how high quality paper is the best thing that you can use for any project, well then do you talk with them about what are the brand names of high quality papers and how they can find it? Do you give them a link to maybe a Google search for that high quality paper, and they can purchase it online? Do you give them alternatives that are relatively good quality but a much cheaper price? Or do you show them, on top of that being a great product, here's an even better product, ooh, but it's pricey. Or here's a fine product, vellum paper, it's see-through, but it doesn't work with ink. So have to find some different solutions to make that one work. Anytime you can add value based on what their needs are. Are they time conscious? Are there methods that you would like them to use, but you're going to show them a way to do it faster? Can you show them how to research faster, how to create things faster, how to hit good quality faster? Think about your iron triangle here of time, quality, and cost. They can choose up to 2. The other 2 will be out of their range. So just try to create the things that are going to really tweak for each individual, or for as many individuals as possible. Now, adding value to your lectures or to propositions or objectives that people give you, or meetings in your office, can actually do one of a couple of different things. First of all, it can separate you from other teachers. If other teachers are not doing things, if they're following a pat formula instead of focusing on what it is that their students want, or why it is they want it, or how they can satisfy those students, well, if you are, if you have a classroom where you're asking questions, getting to know each student individually, and then after you get a chance to get to know one another and you've met with them individually, you start to tailor your content to the student. If nobody else is doing that, of course you're going to separate yourself from everyone else. You begin to have a positive look in the classroom. Students who could get a canned lecture anywhere are very easy to turn around and say, yeah, that lecture was great, but it's not as good as Susie Farkas's lecture on grid systems. That was really fantastic. There's nothing I've ever seen that's ever come close to that. That kind of positive feedback sticks with a student. And once they hear that one teacher is not so hot, it makes them refer back to why they're not so hot. And if they can only think of positive things, well, that's great. But of course, also, it increases that rapport and the connection with the students. If the student always, comes to a classroom where every video content or every lecture has a video content with a transcript, they know that if there was something that they were vague on in the classroom lecture, they can go back and watch that video again and again and again if need be, rewinding it, or listening to the video and reading the transcript in case that the voice didn't come across properly. A lot of students really identify with that. So that's gonna increase the rapport. The students are gonna feel closer to you. They're gonna feel like you're a little more human. They're gonna feel like you've got a little bit more going on. Teaching is a people business. You're not trying to shovel a book at them. You're not trying to shovel learning at them. You are trying to get them to come to grips and understand the concepts, but you're also trying to help them to use that information on their own, to see the positive effects of it, so that they know every time that the things that they are learning in the classroom are practical, they lead to positive effects, and that they are going to assist them later in life. They're going to find by paying attention now They're going to reap great benefits now and again later. By strengthening those relationships in the classroom, by strengthening those relationships when someone raises an objection or when they question your knowledge, it's a great way to bring each other close in when you provide extra added value to the materials you bring to class. So teaching is not a one and done, one touch procedure, right? Things happen on an ongoing basis. And when people get that positive feeling that you as a teacher have exceeded their expectations, a lot of that feeling carries over. Many times, teachers find that at the end of the semester, they like to wrap up what it is that they've learned because the students have been so close in it. It's been such a tough run that they have a hard time trying to figure out, well, what do I do now? What comes next? That when you sit down and say, okay, this semester we went through 3 exercises and 6 projects, which means you have a potential for 9 portfolio pieces coming out of one class, and you only need 8 portfolio pieces for your end of second year review. How many of you think that you have done some work in this class that you've enjoyed? How many of you have done some work in here you found was really, really tough and technically had some strong technical expertise? Once you sit down and say, many of you entered this class without a working knowledge of HTML. It is the end of the first semester. You have learned HTML, HTML5, CSS, CSS3. You have built 3 web pages and 2 multi-page websites and built a WordPress website this semester. How many of you felt that you would go from no knowledge to a working website in a single class? Giving the students a chance to sit down and recognize strawberry jam. Sit down and recognize just how far they've come is a great way to add value to your materials. Now, I'd like to share a lesson with you on added value as far as I was concerned. I bought some miniatures from a company, and the deals were so good. God, I'm lame. The deals were so good, I went back the next day and I saw that they had some miniatures without bases that were about $1 a piece. So I went and bought $17 worth of miniatures with no bases. It seemed like a great deal for me. It was a great deal for him. He couldn't use them. I could figure it out how to glue it to a washer or put it on a diorama or something. No big deal. But I got an email from him because each time I ordered, it automatically set shipping. He emailed me back and said, hey, I haven't completed your order yet, but I saw you ordered a second group. I decided that I will package both of these together and ship them to you at one time. This has saved you $6.25 in shipping. Would you like me to refund it directly to your card, or would you prefer to have a store credit? Who refunds money in this day and age? And I mean, by the time you're reading it, it was 2016. But I mean, who refunds money when they could keep it for shipping and handling? Right? Never seen that before in my life. I was so happy. I told the guy, I was like, look, could you just keep the money and give me a coupon? Which he did. He gave me a coupon code, so if I ever choose to buy from him again, that's money in the bank. But that was a great experience that I have. I was never expecting anything like that, and now that I have this value-added experience, when people ask me, what was the last good experience you have, this is one of them. Now, I travel a lot. I travel a lot. I give lectures in lots of different places. By the way, if you're reading this and you want me to come and give a lecture at your location, please email me. I often work for bottom dollar. Anyway, I travel a lot and I give lectures a lot, and because of that, I often have to have really nice clothes setting up. So occasionally I'll find that I tear my clothes or I need to get them pressed. And so I have a tailor that I work with who does pressing in there, and I came and brought him several pairs at one time. I brought him about 60 shirts. Gosh, I sound like I don't iron my clothes myself, but just at one time I brought him 60 sets. Now, this guy has worked with me quite a bit on my suits, and when he saw this huge order came in, he called me up at home. Now, he and I talk from time to time while I'm dropping off clothes. He sees me very often. It kind of occurred to him that one of the things that we talk about is I'm out and about so often that I don't always have time for the kids. So he offered, because he didn't live that far from my house, on this one time, because I just come back from a long engagement, he said there was no reason why he couldn't physically drop those off at my house. Do you think I would ever go anywhere else again after service like that? Never again would I go anywhere else. I can't even tell you how tickled I was to see his van pull up, and I ran out to assist him, and we carried in those racks of things. But because he had talked with me and he knew me so well, he knew how important those things were to me, and he was able to meet my needs. And because he met my needs in a way that was added value to me, I won't ever go anywhere else. All right, well, to apply this knowledge today, I want you to brainstorm a bit. I want you to think about the students who are in your class. I want you to think about the students who require and request a little bit extra at every step along the way. And I want you to think about how you can add value to your lectures. Now, if you're in between sessions or it's a little bit late to start now, first of all, it's never too late. But if you feel like it's something you want to begin next semester, then I suggest you sit down with about 6 other people, maybe 5 other people, but come up with 5 or 6 people that you can sit down and talk with and brainstorm about the content that you're delivering and how you're going to add value to it. Hope you've enjoyed this lecture. What team size really doesn't matter. I hate to finish up and then go ahead and backtrack a little bit, but you know what? Team size really doesn't matter. If I can easily see that there's somebody out there that maybe works in a small department, they can't get 6 people together. Just sit down with a team of people and try to brainstorm half a dozen, 5, 6, 7, 10 ways that you could add value to your presentations, to your lectures, to your course materials, and try to see what it is that you can come up with either on your own or together. So what is it that you can do? Do you make weekly videos as part of your announcements? Do you cut clippings out of newspapers? Yeah, I know. What's a newspaper? Do you cut clippings from newspapers or send links to students? Do you make printouts of articles or graphics or pictures that your students might get a kick out of? Do you encourage student-to-student discussion during class time so that they can find out what makes one another tick? Do you bring them books? Do you walk off the reservation as far as your lecture goes? And when someone brings up a real quick question on how to use one of the methods practically, do you stop what you're doing and just showcase how that method can be put to use? Just physically stop, listen to what they say, open up a program, build out the item that they're discussing, and then print it out and hand it to them, or showcase how once it's done you might present that handout to a client. Whatever it is that you come up with, I'm positive you're going to have some great work. So now we're finished. I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. Please share this with like-minded individuals and subscribe so that you don't miss anything that we have going on here. I would also like to tell you that if you'd like, please feel free to comment in the doobly-doo below and just destroy that like button. Just blow it up with likes over and over and over again. At least an odd number of likes. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much. I hope you're having a great week, and by all means, design your future.